So I'm going to be speaking about raising leaders. 4 quick things about leadership, and then the process of how to bring through a leader. Firstly, leadership is God's idea, not some strategic plan invented by some pastors or business gurus. God set in place Abraham, father leader. Moses, deliverer leader. Joshua, warlike leader. David, kingly leader. And then every father and mother is put into families as delegated authority to bring order and righteousness into the world in which we live. That's the way the kingdom comes. The kingdom comes when the government of God, the authority of God, breaks into a situation. So it's God's idea. Secondly, is that God expects all people to lead in one capacity or another. You can't say, no, this is not for me, this is for somebody else. No. God, if you are a believer in Jesus, you're ordained to lead. Then prove it to you. When the Holy Spirit is at work in your life, one of the fruit of the Spirit is that you develop a self-control. In other words, you begin to lead yourself properly. When you understand your faith, you encourage, biblically, to lead non-believers to Christ. So to lead yourself, lead non-believers. If God gives you a family, moms, dads, you're told to lead that family. And so what Paul says in 1 Timothy chapter 3 and in Titus, that when you've got self-leadership right and you've got home leadership right, then you're entrusted with church leadership. That's essentially the qualifications of elders and deacons, is that their self-leadership and their home leadership is in order. And so God intends every single believer to be a leader. You have got the King of Kings, the governor of all governors inside of you. You can lead. We need to understand that when a church gets this right, it begins to grow not by addition only. You see, if I'm a pastor, I have a limit to my giftedness. And so if a church just grows according to how I grow, it'll just grow according to the addition on my gift. But if I'm able to replicate myself over and over and over and over and over again, and dozens of people start pastoring and looking after people and discipling people and leading people, now we're growing through multiplication, not addition. And that's how God's glory will be seen across the earth. When disciples make disciples and lead disciples who lead disciples. That's God's plan. So how does it work? So I'm going to suggest to you that there is a 5-step process. There's like a pipeline, if you like. And if one of these steps in this pipeline is absent, you're going to get a blockage in your production of leaders, whether that be in business, in school, whether it be in family, whether it be in the church environment. So here we go. The first step in releasing leaders is developing a culture of servanthood. You want people to serve because that's the way Christ led. He said the Son of Man has come to serve, not be served. When husbands are called to lead their families, they're called to lay their lives down, to serve their wives and their families as Christ did the church. And so the word diakonos, for example, from which we get the word deacon or minister, as is its root meaning to serve. And so you want to create an environment where people are serving. They're helping with teas and coffees and doors and helping with sound and helping fetch and carry people and helping in social justice and helping facilitate things that are happening in homes and helping the poor, etc. When you see people serving, it's from that pool that you can pick your leaders. If you don't have people serving, you wind up employing the high and mighty, bringing people in that are very secular in their thinking. They don't want to lay their lives down for the sheep. And so you've got to create an environment of serving. So think this thing through. If you're running a connect group, create a place for people to serve, fetch, carry, do the teas, do the communications, share the word, go and help people, do social events together. And those who jump to the fore and start serving are developing Christ-likeness. And it's from that pool that we take the next step. Now, the next step is to call leaders out. Jesus said in Mark chapter 3, he went up to the mountain to pray, he came down, and he called the disciples that they might be with him. He picked them. When he picked the 72, he didn't pick 54, he didn't pick 175, he picked 72. He called them out. Very few people will just put up their hand and say, pick me. Most people need to be called out. When you say to somebody, I see leadership on you, I see potential in you, I see God's plans in your life, You've got music in your soul, and people have got to be led by you. If you speak that over somebody, you identify them, you're getting them into the process of leading. I believe that every leader should have a list that he's praying through, a list of potential leaders that he can train. I have this at the back of my diary. I have potential elders and potential site leaders and potential church planters. Sometimes I cross the names out when I see things that I shouldn't be seeing probably, and other times when I write them in again. And I'm praying them through constantly, because you've got to identify leaders. So if you're a Connect Group leader, you should be identifying someone who's ready to lead almost imminently, and then one who's maybe 5 years down the road, but you want to invest in that person. And tell them, tell the Lord, tell yourself, write it down. Without picking them, you're not going to get the next section right, which is to start training them. Now, when Jesus trained the 72, he told them where to go, what to take, how to handle rejection, what to say, what to preach. He did full-on training. And our church and many churches will have training programs, how to be a deacon, how to run a Connect Group, how to qualify, etc., etc. You can put guys on training programs, and you should. But far more training happens on the job than in classrooms. And so I don't think anyone in leadership should do anything on their own. If you're going to visit someone in hospital, take people with you. If you're going to go and pray for someone's business, take people with you. If you're going to go and do some marriage counseling, take people with you. You should be, when you're leading your Connect Group, allowing bits of that meeting to be led by other people. That's training them on the job. And so first we want to create an environment of serving. Then you've got to pick them, identify them, let them know that you think there's leadership upon them, and then start training them. Train them formally, do that in conjunction with the elders, and then train them on the job. The next step number 4, is very important. We need to release them. You don't just take someone and then just chuck them off the edge of the cliff and say, happy days, swim if you can. Very few people will stand up after that. You've got to get them going. Like, when you're getting a kid to ride a bicycle, they've got those trainer wheels. And so first they ride with trainer wheels. Then you bend the trainer wheel so they're a bit more wobbly. Then you take one off, and now they're really maybe leaning to the one side. Then you take them all off. But you don't just leave the kid on the top of a massive slope and say, go, buddy. You run behind them with your hand under the seat. Why? Because they need it. When someone's about to start leading, you want to set them up for success. Let them win victories in the safe country. Set them up to do well. I can remember when my son first asked me to preach. He must have been about 8 years old. I gave him an opportunity, 3 minutes in a meeting that I was at. But before he got up to speak, I made sure that he had practiced in the mirror about 10 times, that he had said it to me at least 5 times, that he knew how to use a microphone. I gave him a deodorant can, but he put it under his chin, so he knew what it would like to hold a deodorant can or a microphone. And so when he came to speak, there was he knocked it out the park. Why? Because I'd set him up for success. 3 minutes, huge training beforehand. Now he just can't get enough of preaching. You want to set them up for success. And then the final step in the process is encouraging them till Jesus returns. Just because someone's now leading and you've handed over leadership to them, you don't wash your hands of them and say, good luck, he's got the job now. That guy's your friend until Jesus returns. If you stop encouraging leaders that are running hard, and they generally are not high maintenance, so we often neglect them, is that they'll get tired. They'll say, I need a sabbatical, bail out, and to get them back in the pipeline of leading again is very difficult. So here we go. Create a culture of serving, identify them, train them, release them, encourage them till Jesus returns. And you can get that pipeline going in your business, in your Connect Group, in a church. And as long as you pay attention to it, God will be faithful in releasing the 10 and the 12 and the 72 as he did with Jesus.